your brain, you're in the nuts domain. Come on in, it's about to begin. No need.
Hey everybody, I'm back. I'm Matt as always, and you are listening to one of our mini podcasts. It's a little over 4 years ago. I sat down with John and Jesse and Shirley and said, hey, let's just do some podcasting. And then I went to work and was like, hey, listen to this podcast. And this guy at work named Josh was like, that's really cool, man. That's great that you're doing it. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of, the only thing I really need is I need to clean up the intro music because I just don't care for it. I want something of our own. He was like, well, let me put you some stuff together. And that's what our intro and exit music for the Nerds Domain podcast and Masks of Nyarlathotep has been ever since. Josh did a fantastic job, and every time I listen to it, I'm reminded by how much I really like the sound that we got, and it's great. Yeah, a little bit of digression there. This is more of an update on kind of where we're at with this whole GoFundMe thing. Kind of give you guys an update on what we've done and what we've raised and where we're at. So we have, as of today, today's the 14th of June. It's 8:45-ish Eastern Standard Time. We have raised $820 from some great friends, some community of the local community of the podcasters, and some people I didn't know, some that were listeners, some that are not or are now, hopefully. All in all, though, a bunch of people have donated, and I'm really, really, really thankful for all that we've gotten. I think we've got 20 people that donated so far. That is correct. 20 donations for a total of $820. So here's where we're at. So we raised $820. I really only got like $750 something of that. We went out and bought a laptop. That was kind of the first key to this whole process, is I had to have something that I could record onto. I also spent the time to download every episode of every podcast that we've ever gotten, ever. And short of properties that have gone on to change ownership, like Gaming with Scott, that is now owned specifically by Scott and his crew, I left those alone. And Binging with Brian and Jeff, which was a short-lived 10-episode podcast that didn't go very far in its process. That one I couldn't download for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I did find the files, so that's good. Other than those two, we have all episodes of our podcast that were released. Now, what that means is that I have all of the episodes. I'm still missing a lot of the clips, some of the stuff that I just can't get back. And if it wasn't released, then I don't have access to it at all. So, some stuff that we recorded and didn't release yet, that's the stuff that we're never going to be able to get back. But that's okay, because we're going to move forward and we're going to have great stuff going on. I'm excited to have a mic in front of me again. Part of the reason I'm doing this is so that I can have a mic in front of me again and enjoy myself. So, $860 got us a laptop, and then we've got some money kind of floating around. Got a laptop and a laptop bag, and covered that. Got a great laptop. I'm very happy with it. We got an HP Pavilion. I've not had an HP in a very, very long time, but it had specs that were way above what I wanted for a price that was fantastic. We're very thankful to Fry's for having that particular laptop on sale. It's slick. It's everything I want, except it's Windows 10, which you just have to deal with now. So I love Windows 7 and I miss it, but if that's the worst of this whole mess, then I'll get over it. Our next big deals are a mixer. We're still pretty short on that. Everything from this point forward is not like, oh my god, we're not going to be able to produce podcasts without it. It's going to be, I'm going to have to beg, borrow, and steal for a while until we get what we need. So, not the worst situation to be in. Definitely could be worse. Thankfully, Brad over at Creative Zombie Studios, who runs our local podcast group, he's going to be happy to lend me some mics and his R16 travel mixer, which is his Zoom R16 travel mixer. It's a fantastic piece of equipment. However, not my favorite for what I would like to be doing, I would like to use just a standard, just a standard Behringer or Elysis or something along those lines. But it will accommodate the 6 players that we're going to have. It will not do mix minus, which is definitely an upgrade we need to do by August, I think, is when we're one of our players who's coming back is not going to be able to come back to town anymore, and he's going to have to be over the internet. And a mix minus is very important to that. So we've got that set up kind of right now where there's a concern on that, and we have to figure that out. Not a huge deal. What else do we have to buy? We have to buy mics and cords. Honestly, I can borrow mics. I'm not super worried about that. We've got 3 right now. I can probably scrounge up another 2 that are really relatively easy to find. I think they're in my stuff. I just don't know where. They're unlike the Shure 58s, I think. It's in the GoFundMe information. Unlike the Shure 58s that we have, these are Behringer $20 pieces of junk from Amazon that I'm very happy to have. Don't get me wrong, but they are definitely not the quality that the Shures put out. And the Shures are kind of what I consider bottom of the line for where I want to be. I guess I'll get over that since we have to replace the mics. So if I find those 2, that'll put us at 5, and I'd like to slowly replace those. The mixer is a big deal. Cords are a big deal. And we need bags so that, when we're not recording, we can put them away and put everything away and put it somewhere safe so it's not just out like it was this last time, which may have been part of the problem. So, bags and mics and cords. I'd like to pick up at least one blue snowball. It's kind of my backup. It's also kind of my loaner for when people want to do stuff that isn't here with us but is still part of the Nerds domain. So I'm kind of short on that right now as well. And then I cannot find my Zoom H1, which I did not put in the GoFundMe. I'm almost positive that it was stolen as well. And if you're familiar with the Zoom H1, it's my mobile, like full on mobile run around and talk to people mic. And unfortunately, without that, conventions become a little different and not a bad thing, just not as easy on what I would like to do. Plus, it's a nifty little device, and I like it quite a bit. So I will need to replace that as well, which that shouldn't be a big deal. That's only about $100. So there's several things here that need to be replaced. Still, what I'd really like to do is replace the mixer, and then from there, everything else I can just pick up here and there, bits and pieces. So that's where we're at. The mixer is the next thing. The mixer I know I can get and I kind of want is about $350. It's a little bit more than the last one, which is ironic, but it is a little bit more than the last one, and I'd be happy to have it. It's definitely something that will do everything we need it to do. I think it's a Yamaha is what I'm seeing over at our local Sam Ash, and I go to Sam Ash because I know the guys there, and they're not going to sell me a crap mixer. And if I have any problems with it, they immediately help me out and fix it. So that's great, and I'm very happy with Sam Ash. So just a little plug for them because they've been very helpful in this whole thing. They let me know that if anybody brought in an Elysis mixer that sounded at all like mine or a bunch of freaking mics, they would definitely contact the police. So they have been fantastic here. If you don't know, and I hope this is a company-wide thing, but if you go into a Sam Ash store and they've got something that is exactly the same make and model as what's on Amazon, they will match the Amazon price. That to me is key because I get all of the skill and understanding of the people in the store, and I get it for the Amazon price, and I walk out of the store with it 9 times out of 10. So if it's something that they can match, they do. They don't always have the same brands. That's why we ended up with off-brand scissor arms. But frankly, the $12.99 versus $49.99, I think, is what their lowest one was. I was happy to go with Amazon, and that's actually what the guy at Sam Ash suggested I do. So here's where we're at. Got a computer. Need the mixer still. Probably could really use some mics. That's not as important. Definitely bags would be great down the line. Replace at least one of the snowballs. And then my H1 and the headphones would be great to replace as well. So all that kind of, it's just out there that needs to be replaced. if you have not supported us yet, we understand. It's okay. Life is what it is, and not everybody has money that's available. What we would like is if you don't have money and you can share this along, that'd be great. There are people that supported us that I don't know. So either they got it from a friend of theirs or they found it on GoFundMe and they're just a very generous person. If that's the case, great. I think they're fantastic people either way, but that's even better. But definitely people that don't know me, this got shared to them. And I know it did because I'm a little inquisitive when it comes to who's donating. So I go and look them up on Facebook and see if we have any friends. If you can donate, that'd be fantastic. We would be happy to see that happen. Just click the button and so on and so forth. You can find our GoFundMe if you didn't go through the GoFundMe page to get here. You can find that at... You can find our GoFundMe at gofundme.com/burgled-recording-equipment. It's all right there. I am offering a couple of things on like editing and that kind of stuff. If you can think of anything that you want me to do to help you out and kind of exchange my talents and gifts, or at least my ability to sit in front of a computer and do stuff for what you've got, great. I'd be happy to do that. And if there's something that's not on the list that you think I can do or I might be able to do, in an instant, I will do that. Just let me know what I can do for you, and we'd be happy to help you out with that. We're, I'd say, $200 away from a mixer. So if we could get that, that'd be great. That'd put us right where we need to be. And if we can't, we'll work it out until we can. The Nerds Domain podcast will be coming back somewhat soon. I know Shirley was talking about our new podcast type, the catapult shots, and she's really excited about doing a couple of those. So those will be coming back soon, and then we'll get back into the swing of those relatively soon. Nerds Domain presents Masks of Nyarlathotep. That's going to start coming back out on July 1st. Yep, that's the 1st. So we'll be kicking back in with that. We're going to do an hour-long episode with Rob talking about the wrap-up of the previous story that we lost an episode of, which is kind of important. We're going to talk about exactly how that happened and what all went down, what it all means, and how he's going to change over. Then we're going to do a creation episode. It's going to be a kind of a quick thing. It probably will not go out on a regular release schedule. It will go out between the wrap up from the previous and the start of the new story. Just because it's a creation session and they're important, but not everybody likes them. So I don't want people that are not into the creation sessions to miss a week or to have to wait a week. So July 1st, that'll kick back off. There Are Four Lights is probably still end of July. We have to get some stuff settled here. One of the big hurdles right now is we had a headphone splitter for our laptops so that when we wanted to watch TV on our laptops, we could plug that in, plug two headphones in, and we're good. Both of the headphone splitters were stolen. That went with the recording equipment. So there's like small odds and ends like that are not huge deals, but they make an impact. So we did get a TV. My brother is fantastic and gave us a giant plasma TV that they weren't using anymore. So we have a TV. We have a Blu-ray player that's going to play Netflix. So we're caught up there. It's just a matter of finding the time to sit down now and get started. So yeah, that's all still in the works. And then GoFundMe, as soon as I have I'm confident about a setup for Mix Minus. That'll start happening again too. Right now, I know the board can handle it, but I don't have a laptop I don't have a second laptop because we're kind of down one right now. So I need another laptop to run the Skype into the mixer that goes into the computer that I record on. That's just the setup for Mix Minus. So eventually that'll happen, and I'll be happy to have that. And hopefully, I'd say August-ish, we'll see some of that. We'll probably do some GoFundMe stuff, or GoFund this. Yeah, GoFund this in August for Gen Con. We might do some in the very beginnings of July for Indie PopCon. Depends on who's there. We don't always know, and honestly, some of that stuff hasn't even launched yet. So we may do some of those on site, and if we do, it should be a relatively quick turnaround to get those out to you guys. And then we hadn't officially announced it, but we did have another podcast in the works It's still in the works, but this obviously put it back on its production schedule. So that should be coming out, I'd say sometime late July, early to mid-August. Hopefully that time frame is enough to get us back on track for where we want to be. But overall, last time it was a little dour. I heard back from some of our friends that said they listened to it and it was a little heartbreaking. I'm sorry if it was really emotional. It was emotional for us, and I know that kind of came through. I felt really defeated at the time. I don't feel that way anymore, so I feel really good about that. We have some fantastic friends, so if you, and I didn't tell them I was going to do this, so surprise. Cult Cinema Cavalcade, that's Brian and Brandon and Cullen. They do a great job over there. The Obsessive Viewer is fantastic. Brad Shoemaker from Creative Zombie Studios does a bunch of podcast producing. So the Christy Lee Show, Cult Cinema Cavalcade, Launchpad, a bunch of stuff there that's really, really good. And he's been on the Hammer and Nigel show back when it was a podcast. So I'm pretty sure you can still find that. If not, I'm sure Brad will let me know. But he's really good at what he does. He used to be a little bit of a radio personality, and now he's just podcast producing and has a fantastic studio here in Indy. So they're all great people. You can also listen to, there's a Cthulhu podcast that one of the guys donated from called The Lovecraft Tapes. It's another actual play Call of Cthulhu game. Definitely go over and check them out. I haven't had a chance to listen, but they were nice enough to support us, so I think they're worth listening to just by that alone. And then the Illiterate Gamer, you can find them where you find your podcast. They take stories and adapt them into gaming. They've had some great guests on there. Definitely want to check them out. Geeking in Indiana is a blog, and he also does some podcasts. Tony over there is fantastic. You should definitely check them out. And Set Lusting Bruce. If you like Bruce Springsteen, if you think you like Bruce Springsteen, or if you've ever heard Bruce Springsteen and said, I wonder what giant fans of Bruce Springsteen sound like, Jesse Jackson over at Set Listing Bruce talks about Bruce Springsteen and his music. I highly suggest them. He was on one of our Good There Are Four Lights podcast. Phenomenal stuff. And then there was a bunch of other people that don't have podcasts, so I can't really promote their stuff, but they are fantastic as well. If there's anything that you have questions about, don't hesitate to ask. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at NerdsDomain or facebook.com/NerdsDomain. Emails at nerdsdomain@gmail.com. You can go over to Patreon after you check this out and at least watch the intro video, because I had a lot of fun shooting that. We're probably going to be updating that sometime soon to kind of show you our new setup, because it has changed a little bit. But definitely you can find us there. You can find us over at tpublic.com/user/nerdsdomain. We got some awesome shirts over there. And, if there's anything that you have questions on, don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be happy to talk to you. Otherwise, thank you guys for listening, and we will talk to you real soon.